Namaste students, welcome back to statistics class. Yesterday's class we discussed about how to frame a questionnaire, what and all points will come under that, what and all things we need to consider before preparing a questionnaire. Then we discussed about the secondary data, which is very small topic, and the secondary data and which are the sources. There are two sources, published source and unpublished source. Then now in today's class we will discuss about which are the two methods which we follow while collecting the information or data. So methods of collecting information. So here while collecting information we follow two methods, that is census enumeration and sample survey. I have spoken about these two topics in brief. I have spoken census enumeration and sample survey. So today we will discuss about census enumeration and sample survey. Again, it's also very important topic, and there firstly we will take census enumeration. What is that census enumeration? Census enumeration means enumeration of each and every units of the population. That means enumeration means the examination or collecting information from each and every individual from that population. As I said, we are studying the study pattern of one particular class in the particular college. So in that class, for example, 100 students are there. In that class, 100 students are there. Census enumeration means we go to that 100 students. Each and every students we go and we collect information. So that is called as census enumeration. The best example is here population census. Best example is population census. What population census will conduct in our country, it will be conducted once in a 10 years we conduct population census. So that is the best example for census enumeration. This example you can give for census enumeration. So here we examine or we collect information from each and every individual from the population. Then what might be the merits and demerits if we go to each and every individual? We have some kinds of merits or advantages, and we have some other disadvantages. So those now merits in that more accuracy. We can get accurate information or we can get proper information because we personally go to each and everyone. So based on this what report we prepare at the end, it may be more accurate than other method. The reason is very simple, because we go to each and every individual personally and we meet them, and from them we collect the information. So we can see more accuracy in the report than any other method. Now detailed survey. So here detailed survey means we examine each and everyone. We go to each and everyone. So detailed information we can collect about them. We get almost all the information from them. So in case of census enumeration, detailed study of any of the informants or any of the respondent is possible in case of census enumeration. Then third one, enumeration of each and everyone. Every unit, that already I have told. Here we enumerate each and every one. We will not give some people and will not select only 5 or 10 people from one large group. So here we go to each and everyone. So we can get variety of information from. Here we can get variety of information. No sampling errors. What is that sampling error? Sampling errors means sampling method means we select only 10 people from them. We inquire only those 10 people. So in that method we can get the errors. Sampling errors means we may select the wrong samples. If we select wrong sample, then we get wrong information, which is not so useful information. So such kind of problems are there in case of sampling method. But here such kind of problems will not come because we go to each and every unit. So no sampling errors in case of census enumeration. Then if you see the demerits here, first one, more time, money and labor. It requires more time, money and labor. Yes, of course it requires more time, means each and everyone we have to go. Then more time, money, we have to spend more here, and also labor. Because enumeration of each and every unit is not possible by the single person. So they require labor also there. require lots of time there and they require money also. If enumerating only 10 people, it can be done by one person, and we does not require much time there. We does not invest more there. But in case of census enumeration, yes, the population census conducted by the government, you think government has to spend a lot and time also is required. Then what happens? The government and aided teachers, they go to each and every house. They go to each and every house and they enumerate there, or they prepare the report. So it requires lot of time and it requires lot of money and also effort. So that is the demerits of this particular method. Then it cannot be used if scope of our area is wide. It cannot be used effectively. For example, if it's a large area, it is difficult because it is not so easy to go to each and every one and to collect the information. So enumeration of each and every one is difficult if our area is large. If it's a small area, yes we can. The area which I have taken here, the group of 100 students, it's easy, it is not a much deal. But the census enumeration is a huge place. In such case, it is difficult. The non-sampling errors. We have seen here there will not be any sampling errors, but non-sampling, other than sampling, will be having some non-sampling errors. Here some people may not provide information, or some may provide wrong information. That possibility is also there. Some other problems we may get here, other than sampling errors, some other problems we may get. So that is a non-sampling error. So this is about census enumeration. Census enumeration is nothing but enumeration or evaluation of each and every unit of the population. What is a unit? Units are individual. Population is, as I said, I have taken a particular class. Particular class means in that class 100 students are there. So that 100 students are the population, and enumerating those 100 students, each and every one means each and every unit, each and every individual or unit, that is called census enumeration. Now, nextly we will move towards the sample survey, second method. Now, we will discuss about the second method, that is sample survey. Now, what do you mean by sample? I have told this earlier. What do you mean by sample? Sample is a part of population. Either it's a part of population, or it's a representative unit of population. It's a representative units of the population. So now survey based on a part of population or representative units of the population, that is called sample. A survey based on sample is called sample survey. Now part of population or representative unit means, as I said, out of 100 students we select 10 people. Out of 100 students we select 10 people. We inquire or we collect information only from these 10 students. We collect information only from these 10 students. So those 10 students are the representatives. They are the representatives of these 100 students. They are the representatives of those 100 students. So now we inquire only these 10 students. We select some people, means they are the sample, we select sample and we inquire only those samples. So that method we call it as sample survey, where enumeration based on sample. Here we will not go and we will not collect information from each and every units of the population. We are not inquiring here each and every unit of the population. We only collect information from 10 people. So, if that is a method, then what can be the merits and demerits of this particular method? And one more thing, the sample survey not only in case of statistics when we collect information. Generally in our life also we use the sample survey methods. For example, a housewife, they are going to vegetable market or a fruit market, they go and we purchase the fruits or vegetable. How we purchase the fruits or vegetables? For example, mangoes are there, a group of mangoes are there. We will not blindly say give that the 1 kg of mango. No, we check 1, 3 or 4 mangoes. That is nothing but we are verifying the sample. We are not bulk. The mangoes are there, many mangoes are there. We will not say check each and every mangoes how they are. We check 1, 3, 4. Based on that we decide whether this quality is good or not. We check and then we take. So that is also the method of sampling. That is also the method of sample survey. The same way in case of vegetables also. We go and we check there are tomatoes in the basket and we check 1, 2 or 3 tomatoes we check. That is a sample checking. We are checking only 3. Rest are there. Based on that we decide this bulk is the bulk of goods are good or not. If while checking which tomatoes we are checking, if it is not in a good way, then we decide or not. We may move to some other market. Based on that sample we decide whether we have to accept this or we have to reject this. Same happens here also. We check the samples. Means it represents the rest of the units. It represents the rest of the units. So that is the method of sample survey. Now, what are the merits? First one, it is economical. What is that economical means? Here it requires less time, less labor and less money. That means it is an economical way. It requires less time, labor and money. Why it requires less labor, time and money? Because we are not going the enumeration of each and every one. We are going the enumeration of only 10 samples. So it requires less time, less labor and money. So it's an economical method of collecting the information. It is more scientific method. We think that it is a more scientific method than census enumeration method. Why we think the more scientific method? Because there each and every one we have to go. Here we are selecting only 10. But while selecting 10, blindly we cannot select 10. There also some methods are there, sampling methods are there. How to select these 10 pupils. Now, for example, we are collecting the study pattern. Study pattern means out of this 10, it should be the combination of the brilliant toppers. It should be the combination of toppers, average students and below average students. Then only our survey we can get accurate or the reasonable result. Otherwise, if we select blindly, if we select 10 people, what happens? All the 10 students, they may be average students or sometimes below average students. So we cannot get accurate information. So it should be the combination of all the category. It should be the combination of all the category. These 10. Then only they can represent that 100 students. So we call it as a scientific method. Next one. It is applied for those units which are destructive in nature. What is the destructive in nature? Now for example, as I said, why we are going to market and checking the mangoes? Why we are going to market and we are checking the tomatoes or any other thing? Now we go for the stationery and we want to purchase a pen. What do? We take the pen and we scribble. The same kind of different kinds of pen will be there. The one kind of pen we take and scribble. The other pen, the same kind of other pens we are not scribbling. And we are taking other kind of pen and once again we scribble. Means we are checking which kind of pen which are good, which are not good. So we are checking, we are scribbling. So that is the sample checking means. Destructive in nature means the things which we use the sampling method. Those are the things which have the nature of spoiling, which highly have the nature of spoiling. The mangoes also, it has the nature of spoiling. It will spoil after some times. It will spoil. So we are checking whether it is proper or not. So that spoiling nature we call it as destructive. The spoiling nature we call it as destructive. Tomato also we check. Why we check carefully? Because it has that destructive nature it has. It will spoil very soon. So we are checking. The pen, why we are checking? Because it may not write in between. It may not write. It has to write properly. So the things which have the destructive nature, which has the nature of destructive, we are using the sampling method. And then free from non-sampling errors. Here only sampling errors may come while selecting this sample. We may face some problems. Other than that, we may not get any other kinds of problems. So these are the merits of sampling survey. Then we'll see what are the demerits of sampling survey. It requires adoption of appropriate sampling method. As I said, here while selecting this 10, we cannot blindly go and select. Here if it goes wrong, anything goes wrong by selecting this 10, the whole survey or whole study will go wrong or it's of no use. So we have to adopt proper sampling methods. There are some sampling methods, means how to select this 10 from this 100. There are some methods, the 3 methods which you are going to study further, that is the simple random sampling, the systematic sampling and stratified sampling. So while selecting this 10, there further 3 methods are there that we have to apply. So that they are saying here, it requires adoption of appropriate sampling method. If we do not apply their appropriate sampling method, then everything may go wrong. That problem may arise. That problem is there. That is one of the disadvantage. We have to apply their appropriate sampling method. Sampling means selecting or extracting sample from the population. That we call it as sampling. Now, it cannot be used for heterogeneous population. It is true when your population is of different nature, or when your population is in a different, it will be having a different kind of sources, you cannot apply. For example, as I said, we are conducting the study pattern. Study pattern means, now, see, study pattern means you are going to 10th standard, okay. One college 10th standard you are going. That is the state syllabus. One standard, the 10th standard you are going, okay, it is the state syllabus. All the state syllabus students are there, you can conduct the survey easily. One more you are going to 11th standard. You are going to 11th standard. But in that 11th standard, the 10th passed students are there. See, here some are CBSE syllabus. Some are CBSE syllabus 11. Some are state syllabus. Some are ICIC syllabus. 3 syllabuses are there. So if he goes and apply the study pattern, there are different kinds of. His survey is based on the state, the state syllabus. His survey is based on the state syllabus. So here he required those who studied in state board. But if we go to 11th standard, here he can get the student which they are studied in different boards. So then he has the different heterogeneous nature, not similar nature population, heterogeneous nature. So here he cannot apply something, he cannot select them because they are of different nature. He requires a similar kind of nature population where he can apply. Then only they can represent that among other students. For example, one more example we take. Now we are conducting the IQ. We are testing the IQ of boys students, or the IQ level of the student those are studying in the government school. So we have to go to government school and we have to select the students. Now we cannot go to the students where it's a mixture of government, those who studied in government school and those who studied in private school. We cannot take it because it is a combination of both, different nature. He requires a similar kind of population. For example, as I said, the heights of trees and heights of the human beings cannot be compared. They are different. Heights of the human beings can be compared with only the heights of the human. So he requires a group of human beings. Group of the trees does not require for that. So they are the different. So similar kind of nature should be there in order to select 10 people. So that is in case of heterogeneous, where our population is different, we cannot apply. The same case in case of 11th standard, if we apply census enumeration, it is okay. We go to each and everyone and we inquire. We will get to know what kind of students are there, who are there, which is the different kinds of students are there. Okay. But in case of examining 10 people, the sample selection means we should have a similar nature of population. Next one, sampling errors. Here, as I said, we can get variety of sampling errors, means we can get many problems while selecting. We may apply the wrong method here, or the sample which we select, they may not appropriate to our survey. So such kind of problem may arise. So this is about the sample survey. So here we have two methods while collecting the information, that is census enumeration and sample survey. In case of sample survey, it is more economical than census enumeration. Now, we'll do one thing. We'll comparatively study both. Means the difference between sampling survey and census enumeration. Then this topic will be very, very clear. Now, we'll comparatively see what is the difference between census enumeration and sample survey. Firstly, we look into the meaning. What is census enumeration? Here it is enumeration of each and every unit. So firstly we get enumeration of each and every unit. Here what happens? Sample survey. Enumeration of few representative unit. Enumeration of only few representative units. Then we were talking about the errors. Which kind of errors will be there? There will be more sampling errors. There will be more sampling errors, since it is a sample method. Here there will be no sampling errors. No sampling errors. Then one more difference is here we require more time, money and labor. Here we require less time, money and labor. That we can say it as it is more economical. Which is more economical? It is more economical because it requires less time, money and labor. It requires more time, money and labor. So, it requires more time, money and labor. That is one more difference. It requires less time. It requires less time, money and labor. This is one more difference. Then what else are there? What are other differences? Now, it can be used. It can be used where our population is wide, or it can be used where our population is more. But it cannot be used where our population is more. It can be used where population is more. It cannot be used where population is more. It cannot be used where population is more. Then one more thing, where it can be used. In case of destructive nature, can be used case of destructive nature, where our product has the nature of destructive nature. It cannot be used in case of destructive nature. It cannot be used in case of destructive nature. Then what else? What else is remaining? What else we can write there? Now, one more thing. It can be used where our population are in heterogeneous nature, but it cannot be used where our population in heterogeneous nature. If our population is heterogeneous nature, it cannot be used. It cannot be used in case of heterogeneous population. Heterogeneous population. So here it can be used. It can be used in different heterogeneous population. So these are the comparative difference between census enumeration and sample survey, where it is each and every enumeration units be examined. Here only few, but here no sampling errors. Here we can get sampling errors. It requires more time, money and labor. It requires less time, money and labor. It cannot be used where population is more. It can be used where population is more. It cannot be used in case of destructive nature. It can. And it cannot be used in case of different kind of population. It can. Then one more thing we call, it is a scientific method. It is a scientific method, and it's not a scientific method. Why we call it a scientific method? Because we follow some method by selecting, as I said, further we are going to study about 3 sampling methods. We apply some of the methods here. We are not applying any of the methods. We are individually we go to each and every unit and we are collecting the information. So it's not a scientific method, it's a scientific method. So it's a detailed study of census enumeration and sample survey. So this difference may come for 5 marks. This difference may come for 5 marks. Around 6 or 7 points you may get there. You have to write it. So this is about detailed study of sample survey and census enumeration, and it is one more very important topic. So with this we can wind up with today's class, and 2 more small topics are remaining. One is about the sampling method. 3 methods are there, and some of the concepts are there. Some small concepts are there. With that we can wind up with the second chapter with tomorrow's session. So for today's session we'll wind up. Thank you.